All right, guys, it's real and it's really happening. We're going to start a new football manager save here, and we're going to do something similar to what we did before and something's a little bit different. But I wanted to talk with you a little bit here about what the plan is. So there's a problem that comes up when we want to use World Super League with other modifications. And the problem is that World Super League includes a whole bunch of files that modify things on its own. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you here what it looks like. So here I am on the right side, and you can see the browser window here on the left. And this is a little bit small, so we'll go ahead and increase the size here so you see what's going on. There you go. We got a lot of blah, blah, blah going on here, and we're just going to skip through all of this, including the explanation as to why this and why that. We are, by the way, going to do the 96 Club Premier League. Hopefully we'll get there before I end up actually buying FM24. And yes, the cat's out of the bag. I'm not going to buy FM24 until the official World Super League version for FM24 comes out. That might not be for many months to come. So buckle your safety belts, and we'll get there one way or another. Here you go, optional add-on files included in the Ultimate Edition. There's a whole bunch of stuff that Darth Furion includes. Boosts to players, CA and PA, staff, rebalance nation youth ratings, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead here actually and sort of read you off kind of what these are. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, including stuff that he doesn't mention here, right? There is, among other things, a addition that makes AI managers willing to work in lower leagues. In fact, I'll show this to you here. This comes from a blog post that I haven't quite posted just yet. We will increase the size on this as well so you can read along. There you go. It includes an add-on to make AI managers willing to work in lower leagues. This is important because you need to make sure that managers are willing to keep working for their team when they're relegated. Now, with the 96 League Premier League, it's not, or 96 Team Premier League, it might not be that important, but it still is pretty important to have. There's a boost to all the AI managers that comes along with this as well to make them more competitive. And then you have reputation and training boosts to all clubs. The reason for this is to get better quality new gens, because you know as well as I do that the new gens are very, very important. There's also boosts to youth coaching, youth facilities, and youth recruitment, also to help with regens. Boosts to current ability and potential ability for all players and all staff. Scouting boosts for the top clubs. This is all, so most of this stuff is for new gen. Scouting boosts is so that top clubs will remain top clubs. Rebalancing of national game importance and national reputation for all clubs, which is also very important for new generation, as well as national youth ratings. You want to do all of this stuff because you want to make sure that as much as possible you can get good new gens coming from a variety of countries in the world. In other words, the days of all the good players are from Argentina, Brazil, maybe Uruguay, and like Germany and England are going to be over, hopefully. I don't know exactly how this is rebalanced, but hopefully it's going to give you a little bit more variety. And there's a bunch of rebalancing of transfer values and stuff like that. That's a bunch of stuff that's really, really important to figure out, and it can be confusing. It can be very confusing when we look at the files. So I will actually show you here on my screen what this looks like. Here we go. Go back to the screen view. You can see this nice picture taken on the Tumen River right across down the Chinese side across from North Korea, right in the back. So how about that? So here we have the World Super League 3.0 folder. We go to the Ultimate Edition because, yes, I did pay the $10 for the Ultimate Edition. You should as well. I mean, it's not that much. And here are all of these files I just read off to you. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. It's confusing because Darth Furion does not actually mention all of this in the post that he made on the forum. So you kind of have to know what it is. And of course, here is the file itself. You could just use this file itself without worrying about the other stuff. But what's the fun in that? We want to make sure that we have as much fun as we possibly can. And of course, what we really care about are getting as many of the new gens as possible into this game. And making sure that they're like super powerful, because we want to make sure that we have new gens that are actually interesting and are actually fun to play with, and not just a bunch of kind of lousy players. So that's what we're paying attention to. Now, we want to do more than just this. That's the problem, and that's kind of the trick. There are some add-ons that are kind of obvious, right? Of course, we're going to use the sorted out SI real name fix. If you don't know about that, you have to go get it. I've got stuff put in like the fix for the pitches to make them easier on the eyes, easier to see and stuff like that. I've done all of that already. Another thing, though, that we really want to push on is making sure that the Japanese teams have players. So if you don't know about this already, I will show this here on my screen. This comes from the official Sports Interactive forums. Remember, we're playing with FM23 because I'm old school. I'm not updating yet. Robles Quinn, who I understand is now doing the official Japan work for Sports Interactive, came out with this back in it's March 2023 that he released this. Came out with a file that has a whole bunch of, or a post with a whole bunch of files. All we care about here really are the players and staff. I have an updated version of this that comes from his Discord page, right? But it's basically the same thing, right? You use the players and the staff for the Japanese teams. This is important because in World Super League, believe it or not, there are teams from Japan. Let's see if we can find this scrolling down here. Here you go, Japan. There are 11 teams from Japan. You don't want to play with that and have like 11 teams full only of new gens. I mean, you can do it. It's not going to be awful, but it's not necessarily guaranteed that the players are going to be of the quality they need to be able to compete. And I mean, this is free, so let's do this. So there you have it. The other add-on that we're looking for that I find important is this one. This is Dave INC ID's big add-on. And this is also a little bit confusing and complicated because there are things that he does that contradict the things that Darth Furion does. You could technically add all of them together, but I don't know what kind of overall impact it's going to have because both of them sometimes are working on like the same things. So again, we go over to my guide and we read about what it is that we can do here. This is what we're going to do and what we're going to try this time. There are some things that we're going to add on that maybe might not make a huge difference in terms of like new gen generation, but we're going to give it a try. So we're talking about like this club data fix, just to add in rivalry information, stuff like that. Morale adjustments at clubs. I'm not entirely sure exactly what that does, but I believe that that will sort of help it so that you don't have clubs with players that are absolutely upset at the very beginning of the game, which has a major impact on the game. We've seen that already in the saves that I've done and now have abandoned. It's really frustrating. Geographics and languages, which is very important. I don't know that this languages file is 100% correct. I remember having some problems with earlier versions of it and earlier versions of FM Football Manager, especially FM21, especially up in Northeast China. So we're going to test it out this time and sort of see what happens. But yeah, the geographics do need to be updated in Football Manager. National team attendances. This might not be necessarily that important, but I do think that it's something to play around with. It'd be nice to have that right. This is big. National team reputation. We're trying to get more young players on the national teams to allow these new gens to develop better because, as you know, in FM23, new gen development is really a problem. That's why a lot of these add-ons have been developed and have come out and took so long to move forward. I don't know how it is on FM24. Like I said, we're going to wait to go into that. This is FM23 because around here, a game's lifespan is more than a year. Realistic injuries, of course, this one, sometimes you don't want to do it because you don't want your players to get hurt, but this is good, especially for a league like this. This will give you a chance against some of the bigger clubs because their players won't be uninjured all the time. There's a little tax fix for German clubs. Meh. We'll use it. Ticket price adjustments. This is mostly to prevent clubs from like South America from being incredibly rich. I don't know if this is going to make a huge difference or not. We'll try it. Weather changes tends to be very good. So Sports Interactive, when it creates Football Manager, has like an estimation of weather. It tends to not really be like extreme enough. It tends to sort of be mild-ish, like everywhere in the world. This will create more variation between different places. The weather fix is essential. I don't know how you could play without it. You need to use it. And then the big thing here is the worldwide derby fix. I mean, whatever. Worldwide award fixes, however, is big. That combined with everything else, in theory, should make it so that more young players should be getting awards, including awards that are totally made up. The reason why we want to have more awards for them is because that will increase their reputation and increase the chances of these young players being able to develop the way they should develop and being good enough to be world class, right? We're trying to fight against the things that so many FM23 saves have run into, especially public-facing ones, where you get a couple years into it and suddenly the players are like, not really that great. And you're like, well, what's going on? How come these young players that have come up are just, not really worth it? The reason why is because there were some balancing problems on the part of Sports Interactive. And so there you have it. That's kind of what the plan is. This is our plan, and we're sticking to it. We'll see how this works in the end. We'll see how the save works. I mean, this is what we do all the time. It's exciting to get in and to really start experimenting and trying different things out. And hopefully this will be an enjoyable save that will last us quite some time. I'm planning on having this coming save last, hopefully, until I finally purchase FM24 and we move on to that. And as you can imagine, I'm not planning on really ever playing with the base game again. From here on out, we're always going to do World Super League because it's more interesting. So there you have it. I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.